Have you ever had a client leave the session and they're saying, "Oh my God, that was incredible. I cried the whole time. I released so much. I haven't felt that emotional in years." And as practitioners, we naturally feel encouraged. After all, something happened. The client felt something. Energy moved, emotions surfaced, tears flowed. The session felt powerful. But here's the question that I want to explore today. Did healing occur, or did emotional release occur? Because those are not always the same thing. And I believe that this is one of the most misunderstood concepts in the healing professions today. In fact, some of the most dramatic sessions I've ever witnessed produced very little long-term change. And some of the quietest sessions I've ever facilitated produced profound transformation. And that's when I realized something important. Intensity and healing are not the same thing. Catharsis and transformation are not the same thing. Emotional release may be part of healing, but emotional release is not automatically healing. And if practitioners don't understand that distinction, we can unintentionally confuse movement with transformation. If I haven't met you yet, my name is Tina Bridgetini. Remember to like and subscribe to my channel and get the future videos. See, for decades, many healing modalities have celebrated emotional release, and understandably so. When someone has been suppressing grief for years and they finally cry, that does matter. When anger finally surfaces, that matters. When shame is finally acknowledged, that matters. When the body finally lets go of tension, that matters. And I'm not minimizing emotional release. It can be incredibly important. But I am suggesting that we need a more sophisticated understanding of what release actually accomplishes. Because releasing an emotion and reorganizing a system are two very different processes. So let's start by looking at what release does well. Emotional release can reduce pressure. It can create awareness. It can reconnect a client to feelings they've avoided. It can increase flexibility within the nervous system. It can restore movement where there has been contraction. And in many cases, emotional release creates access to deeper parts of the healing process. But notice the language that I'm using: access, not completion. Because emotional release often opens the door. It doesn't necessarily walk the client through it. And one of the trends I've observed over the years is that some practitioners become attached to the emotional intensity. And clients do too. The session is judged by how emotional it became, how much crying occurred, how dramatic the release was, how powerful it felt. But think about this. If intensity alone created healing, every major emotional breakdown would result in transformation. And yet we know that isn't true. Many people cry about the same issues for years. Many people become angry about the same issues for years. Many people revisit the same wounds repeatedly. without creating lasting change. Why? Because feeling something is not the same as reorganizing around it. This is where nervous system understanding becomes incredibly valuable. The nervous system is not asking, did emotion occur? It's asking, what is safe now? What is possible now? What has changed now? A client may release years of grief during a session, but if the nervous system still organizes around loss, abandonment, or self-protection, the pattern often remains intact. The emotion moved, the organization stayed the same, and this is why some clients feel amazing immediately after a session, but gradually return to old patterns. The release happened, the adaptation remained, and this is where I believe energy therapy contributes something unique. In energy work, we're not simply observing emotion, we're observing organization. How is this person organized around their experiences? How has their system adapted? How has their identity formed around those adaptations? Because what often needs healing isn't merely the emotion itself, it's the energetic blueprint created around the experience. A client who experienced rejection may not simply carry sadness. They may organize their entire life around avoiding rejection. A client who experienced criticism may not simply carry hurt. They may organize their entire identity around perfectionism. See, the emotional release is important, but the deeper question becomes, has the organization changed? And this is where the chakra model becomes incredibly useful for practitioners. And I just want to mention at this point, anybody who's interested in learning to do energy therapy, if you're not doing it already, or even if you are, I'd invite you to check out the link below and take a look at the course offered in Bridgetini Energy School. So let's use the heart chakra as an example. Many practitioners assume that when grief surfaces and releases, the work is complete. But often the release is simply revealing the deeper adaptation. Has the client organized around self-protection, around hyper-independence, around fear of vulnerability, around people-pleasing? These adaptations frequently remain long after the emotional release, which means that the practitioner's work is not simply helping emotion move, it's helping the system reorganize. So after a release session, instead of asking what emotion came up, try asking what changed, what became possible, what feels different, what no longer feels necessary, and what is beginning to soften. Because those questions move us beyond catharsis and towards transformation. Now imagine two clients, both cry during a session, both report significant emotional release, both feel lighter afterward. On the surface, the sessions appear identical, but 6 weeks later, one client's life looks dramatically different. The other client's life looks exactly the same. So what happened? The first client reorganized, the second client released. One experienced transformation, the other experienced relief. Both were valuable, but they were not the same. See, I believe that the future of healing requires practitioners to become skilled at recognizing this distinction. Not because emotional release isn't important, because emotional release deserves to be placed in the proper context. Release creates space. Transformation fills that space with something new. Release creates flexibility. Transformation creates reorganization. Release allows old energy to move. Transformation helps a new pattern to emerge. And when we understand this distinction, we stop chasing emotional intensity and we start supporting integration. We stop measuring sessions by how dramatic they feel. We begin measuring sessions by how sustainable the changes become. So, is emotional release healing? Sometimes, but not always. More often, emotional release is an invitation, an opening, a doorway. And the real question is, what happens next? Does the nervous system learn something new? Does the energetic system organize differently? Does the client's relationship with themselves change? Does a new possibility emerge? Because healing is not measured by what leaves the system. Healing is measured by what the system becomes capable of afterward. And that's a distinction every practitioner needs to understand. In our next video, we're going to explore how to recognize the difference between symptom chasing and pattern recognition, and why the best practitioners learn to read organization rather than symptoms. If you haven't liked and subscribed to the video yet, please go ahead and do so. Ring the bell for notifications, and I'll see you in the next video. Many blessings, Tina Bridgetini.